First of all, let's into the first question. Is Rutgers on the bubble? Is Rutgers, if the tournament started today, if you have no idea what we're talking about, Rutgers has beat four straight ranked teams. They beat Michigan State, they've beaten Ohio State, they've beaten Wisconsin. Now they beat Illinois on Wednesday night. They smoked Illinois, an Illinois team that they lost to the first time they played in December. I believe Illinois beat Rutgers by 35.
Yes.
That's not even an exaggeration. I think it was literally 35 points. And Rutgers dominated from start to finish in this one. It was the kind of game where coaches and old school basketball people love to invent the word out toughed. It's like they can't think of any other word to say. So that was this game. They're watching Rutgers play Illinois and they're like, they just out toughed them. Like, what do you mean by that? And they're like, it's the only word I got. They out toughed them. They out toughed them all night. They out rebounded Illinois 46-28. It was a complete ass kicking, and it is something that in a vacuum might be surprising because we are both very high on Illinois. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit. What does this do to our confidence in Illinois? But this run that Rutgers is on they really might be like the hottest team in the country. They beat four straight ranked teams. But is it surprising? Because I guess like as I'm now watching Rutgers, I'm like, I don't know, man. This makes a lot of sense given the talent they have. Like, and it dawned on me, Tate. I have an idea. I have an analogy I want to make. Rutgers, I think, is the St. John's of the Big Ten. Rutgers is a team that, like, you look at the roster, you look at like Geo Baker and Ron Harper. That is Posh Alexander and Champagne of the Big Ten. Where you're like,
known entities,
known entities that can explode on any given night, and so. No, I'm not going to pretend like I saw this coming from Rutgers, but at the same time, this is not a situation where you're like, how the hell are they doing this? Because you watch them play, you're like, they have the number one scoring defense in the Big Ten in conference games. They are playing tough as hell. There's something about that arena that's giving them juice, and for God's sakes, Ron Harper and Geo Baker can go, and I think it's just that simple. I don't know.
You know what I'm over? I'm over bad losses. You know what I mean? I'm over talking about November losses as if they define who this team is.
Yeah.
We know what this Rutgers team is. They are not who they once were in December. And if anything, we need to remember the shot that, happened against Purdue. That's the Rutgers that we need to remember from 2021. That's the only Rutgers you need to remember. They're the hottest team in America. Nobody wants to play them in March. They should be in March. If Joe Lunardi does not push them, above this whole bubble fray, it'll be a cardinal sin because New Jersey loves basketball. Rutgers is a program without Seton Hall because of COVID. COVID took out Seton Hall. Rutgers has to be that team for New Jersey.
You say that like Seton Hall hasn't.
No. It was
like
all COVID.
They're done. No, like their season is literally over. That COVID stretch.
From my expectation of them winning the Big East, yes, it's over. But at the same time, I'm just saying it feels like Rutgers, the momentum is all there. All signs are pointing to yes for Rutgers basketball, and it's about time. You know what I mean? They needed this moment in time. And this team, like you said, I mean, they have the star power behind it. And nobody wants to see them in March. They're going to be a fun, 10 seed, 9 seed, 8 seed, maybe 7 seed. We'll see.
But as it pertains to the NCAA tournament, we were talking about this. We were riffing on this about some other teams. I think you brought up Carolina, and maybe we mentioned Indiana being on the bubble. And now Rutgers is on the bubble. It really there needs to be someone in the committee in the room on Selection Sunday that offers just a vibe check. That just offers. First of all, there's a lot of basketball left to be played. Rutgers could very easily play their way to where there's no controversy whatsoever. And it's like, yeah, they're definitely. But like if the season ended today. There are some people that do, as you said, look at the November losses and say they don't belong because of that. Their resume.
Bad losses. Don't let the bad losses outweigh the good wins.
We don't need all that. We need someone in the room that's just the vibes guy. That's just like, are we serious? Rutgers is like, look around. Look, capture this moment that's happening right now in college basketball with Rutgers. Put them in the goddamn NCAA tournament. Like,
if we're talking the top 68 teams in college basketball, they are no doubt one of the top 68 teams.
Yes, they might be 68, but no, no, they're not. They're it's a fun story how good they are. It's I don't think we have to overthink it. And can they sustain it? I guess that's the next question. Is this run a fluke? They beat Purdue, as you said. So like that, they've shown us signs all season. I do think their they have a talented roster. Their bench is a little suspect. They don't get much production from the bench. But Ron Harper's a guy that if he was not playing in the Big Ten and he was playing in, I don't want to name lesser conferences, but he's in a conference that's absolutely loaded, more so than any other conference with individual talent. No matter how good, bad, or otherwise you believe these Big Ten teams are, I think that's not controversial to say, Tate, that the Big Ten is the best collection of like the individual players in terms of like All-American candidates, you know?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Ron Harper kind of isn't in that mix when we talk about all the great players. Ron Harper Jr. in the mix when we talk about all the great players in the Big Ten. But he is one of those guys. Like he's been one of those guys at Rutgers for, I mean, anyone that's followed Big Ten basketball probably has a story about when Ron Harper ripped your team's heart out. You know, like you remember this guy can play. This is not a fluke what we're seeing from him. Geo Baker, same thing. I don't know, man. I don't see any reason why they can't keep it rolling. Which isn't to say I think they're gonna go to the Elite Eight for God's sakes, but yeah, put them in the tournament. They belong in the tournament.
And also, I mean, when Harper Jr. gave the Jordan shrug in this game, you know, that kind of cemented the fact that not only is this team the hottest team in the country, they're the most confident team right now. They want the smoke. They want to play, you know, these top teams in the Big Ten and make a statement. So they're definitely in. I'm over the bubble talk. Rutgers is in the tournament. Get over it. Steve Peichel's done a great job with this team. Again, the Big Ten's too deep for them to get the real recognition that they deserve. You're right about that, but we have to do it here. Rutgers basketball.
Rutgers basketball. Are you worried about Illinois?
No, I'm not.
You're never going to take Illinois off of your list of teams you believe in. What you're going to do is you're going to add bad matchups to the Illinois list.
Yeah, there are two teams that Illinois does not want to be Purdue and Rutgers.
Now Rutgers. Add Rutgers to the list.
Everybody else, watch out. You don't want to play Illinois. But those two teams, watch out.
Oh man, yeah. Rutgers is what's the rest of their schedule looking like? I meant to.
Their next game is Purdue, correct?
That's right. Yeah, and Harper's got the hand injury. He might miss that one, which is a bummer. But Purdue's probably going to win that anyway. Then they got Michigan away, Wisconsin at home, Indiana at Assembly Hall, and then Penn State. They got a gauntlet the rest of the way too.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm saying right now, before the gauntlet comes and everyone turns, you know, sour on Rutgers, let's just go ahead and slot them in before that happens. You know what I mean? Right now, in this present moment, Rutgers is in the tournament. Let's get them in.
Yeah, 16-9. They're yeah, dude. Put them in the tournament.
They're being judged by the bad losses, and I think that is a reflection of all of us in this society. We should be celebrating the good wins because the good wins outweigh the bad losses. That's all I'm saying.
They're probably going to lose to Purdue on Sunday.
6-3 against Quad 1 for the Q fans out there. 6-3 against Quad 1 teams.
So they got 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 5 regular season games left. They got to go 3-2. I don't care how they do it. They go 3-2. You go 3-2. You win one game in the Big Ten tournament. The debate's over. They're 100% in. They're 100% in. That's crazy. This team lost to. It wasn't just that they lost to DePaul and Lafayette and UMass in 3 consecutive game state. They also the opening game of the season, Lehigh took them to overtime, which is maybe as bad as any other. Lehigh is not good. Lehigh is not a good basketball team, and they.
But are they a good program? That's the question. Some people were saying so.
They scored 48 points the following game against Merrimack. They won 48-35 against Merrimack.
They were overlooking these games. They play up.
That's how they opened the first 2 games. Then they beat New Jersey Institute of Technology, and then they have that 3-game losing. Like they very easily could have been 1-5 with 1 win over NJIT. Just a hilarious story. There's no other way around it. Like the start that they had to where they're at now. This is going to be an all-time. If Rutgers can figure out a way to get into the NCAA tournament. We're going to be looking at this forever. We're going to be taught, like, anytime a team has a start, we're going to be like, yeah, but remember Rutgers? We can't count them out yet. They could get hot.
It just goes to the philosophy. We need to, like you said, a vibe check. I mean, it used to be with the committee, we didn't know as much, but it did feel like when they saw a hot team coming into March, that team would get precedent. You know what I mean? They would just say, this team is obviously – we check the vibe. These guys are good. We got to get them in the tournament. And I feel like that philosophy, I know we love numbers. I know we're enamored by all the analytics with all these teams. Rutgers passes the vibe check. Put them in the tournament.
Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.